Most people don't lose because life is cruel. They lose because their mind hands the world the knife. They let every insult crawl under their skin, every delay feel like doom, every opinion bend their spine. Pressure arrives and they shatter on schedule. You've seen it. Maybe you've lived it. You walk into rooms asking for space you already own. You apologize for your silence. You explain your worth like a nervous salesman trying to sell himself a spare set of lungs. And the world? It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't scream or wrestle. It simply watches you soften. And then it presses. Listen closely. The world will not get gentler because you learned a new affirmation. It will not stop testing you because your intentions are pure. It breaks soft minds, not because it hates them, but because softness is predictable. Machiavelli understood what most people refuse to admit. Power belongs to the one who controls perception, commands emotion, and chooses strategy over sympathy. Ruthless isn't about cruelty, it's about control. It's the moment you decide your peace is a fortress, not a public park. Phone cold in my hand, a message thread still open. The long apology I wrote to someone who had already moved on. I thought if I just explained enough, they'd understand. If I gave more detail, they'd care. If I bled clearer, they'd stop the bleeding. Dawn came and nothing changed, except me. That night I realized the truth. I wasn't seeking peace, I was begging for permission to have it. That's when the ruthless version of me woke up, the one that doesn't ask, doesn't chase, doesn't announce. He observes, he designs, he decides, and everything began to move. You're here because you're done being easy to read. You're here because you're tired of breaking in the same places. So let's begin where power truly starts. Not with louder words, but with a colder mind. First, you must take the crown back from other people's eyes. Most people think truth protects them. It doesn't. People don't judge your truth, they judge your image. They respond to posture, tone, mystery, timing. The loudest lie can win if it looks like confidence. The quietest truth can lose if it looks like doubt. So you walk into a room like a confession, and the room treats you like one. You explain before anyone asks. You defend before anyone attacks. You shrink your presence to make others comfortable, and then wonder why comfort devours respect. Change it. Control the picture before the room can draw it for you. Let your pace slow down when you feel the urge to rush. Keep your shoulders still. Breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. When someone pushes for an instant answer, give them stillness, not speed. When you're tempted to over-explain, replace 2 sentences with 5 seconds of silence. That silence is not emptiness, it is a mirror. Let them see themselves in it while you remain unreadable. People will test that quiet to see if it's hollow. Smile once, not the eager smile of a plea, but the kind that says, I'm not here to be understood. I'm here to be inevitable. Your presence should speak before your mouth does. If they mislabel you, don't rush to correct the label. Rewrite it with behavior. Precision beats persuasion. Calmness beats debate. A single controlled action will suffocate 1,000 anxious explanations. Drop this in the comments. I control my image. Second, you must break the chain between your emotion and your reaction. The world manipulates predictable minds. It tugs anger, you bark. It dangles approval, you dance. It whispers fear, you freeze. That's not a personality, that's a puppet. Detachment is not numbness, it's strategy. It is letting the wave crash without letting it carry you away. Imagine this. Someone throws a cheap insult across the table, wrapped in a joke so they can pretend it wasn't meant to cut. The old you laughs too loudly and swallows the blade. The reactive you snaps back, gets baited, bleeds integrity on the floor. The ruthless you does neither. You tilt your head 1 degree, You look at them like they just revealed a map you've been searching for. Because they did. They showed you their insecurity, their need, their rhythm. You make a note. You don't grant them the gift of your eruption. You keep your voice low, your words few, your eyes steady. Then you move the conversation where you wanted it all along. Understand what just happened. You didn't suppress your emotion. You commanded it. You felt the heat, but you didn't cook your future with it. Most people think reacting fast is power. It isn't. Power is choosing when to respond, if at all. Put it like this. Your mind is a throne. Every time you react instantly, you step off it and hand the crown to the loudest voice in the room. When you delay, when you observe, when you let the first storm pass, you keep the crown where it belongs. Practice in small moments. The message that makes your blood jump, don't reply for 10 minutes. The call that spikes your pulse, let it ring twice, return it composed. Train your nervous system to report to you, not to strangers. The world will notice, because it can't read what doesn't react on command. Drop this in the comments. I feel, but I don't fold. Third, expect betrayal, but not with bitterness, with design. Most people suffer twice. First, when someone breaks their word. Second, when they pretend they didn't see it coming. You won't do that anymore. Loyalty in the real world is usually a rental, not a deed. People stay as long as it serves them, and often that's fair. You can hate that truth and stay breakable, or you can work with it and become untouchable. Here's what working with it looks like. You stop building your stability on promises. You build it on structure. Systems over sentiment. Roles over hopes. Access that can be reduced. Paths that don't depend on a single gatekeeper. If you're building a project, no single person holds the only key. If you're trusting someone with information, every piece they get is watermarked by context you can change. If you're investing emotion, you set terms with yourself first. What I give, what I guard, what I never place on the table. That isn't paranoia. That's respect for reality. Study patterns instead of excuses. People don't betray out of nowhere. They rehearse with small signals. A late reply that feels like a test, a joke with a mean aftertaste, a promise with elastic edges. You don't need to confront every sign. You log them. You adjust. You shrink exposure. You increase alternatives. You reassign the critical tasks from a person to a process. The world can pull a person. It cannot pull a system you designed to bend without breaking. When someone finally shows you who they are under pressure, believe it and get quiet. Not bitter, not dramatic. Quiet. Starve the theater. Redirect your energy to structure. Because here's the secret. The fastest way to heal from betrayal is to make it irrelevant. When your design makes disloyalty expensive for them and survivable for you, their choice stops being your devastation. It becomes their data point. Drop this in the comments. I trust strategy, not sympathy. Now let's thread all three together. Control the picture, detach the reaction, design for betrayal. Do you feel how they interlock? When you control the picture, you become difficult to categorize. When you detach the reaction, you become impossible to steer. When you design for betrayal, you become boring to exploit. That's ruthless. Not cruel, controlled. Not loud, inevitable. There's a reason calm people terrify the chaotic. Calm is a mirror that shows them themselves, and most can't survive that reflection. Your stillness becomes a rumor. Your silence becomes a rumor. People will talk, not because you're loud, but because you're not. They will guess your motives and fear the wrong one. Good. Let mystery do the heavy lifting, while you do the deliberate work. You are not trying to prove you're a good person. You are establishing that your mind is not available for rent. You will be tempted to explain this new version of you. Don't. Explanations are for people who earn them, and most haven't. You owe no more voltage to power the fantasies of people who only show up to unplug you. There's a moment, if you stick with this, when the world will try one last trick. It will offer you a spotlight you didn't ask for. It will tempt you to break your own rules for a hit of fast approval. That's the old trap with a new paint job. Don't take it. Instead, double down on the boring things that make you formidable. Routine over rush, depth over display, process over panic. Power compounds in the quiet. Your future is built by what you repeat, not by what you post. Here's what you do tonight. Pick one place to reclaim the picture. Your posture in tomorrow's meeting, the tone of your first message, the pace of your answer when someone tries to corner you with urgency. Pick one trigger to detach from. That name, that notification, that topic. Give it a 10-minute window before you respond. Pick one system to design. A checklist that no single person controls, a boundary for your time that needs no debate, a rule for yourself that protects your peace before the day begins. This is the pivot. You will not become ruthless by accident. You will become ruthless because you practice it when no one is clapping, because you learned the architecture of your mind and then chose to be its king. The world will still test you. It's supposed to. Let it. Let rejection sharpen your clarity. Let failure train your breath. Let betrayal teach you where to move the gates. You won't be break-proof, you'll be break-resistant by design. If what you felt in the last few minutes hit something real, seal it. Write your pledge where you can see it and where others can't control it. And drop one line in the comments so you can't take it back later. I rule my mind. In the next part, we'll sharpen calm into a weapon and turn silence into strategy, so that every room reads your presence before it hears your name. You don't need a louder voice. You need a colder presence. The world reads temperature before it hears words. The heat of your panic, the chill of your control. And right now, if you're honest, you run hot. You react, you rush, you overfill silence with explanations that taste like fear. That ends here. In this part, we forge the weapon that scares manipulators more than rage ever could. Calm that doesn't crack, silence that doesn't serve them, absence that makes your presence heavy, and boundaries that bleed no more. Picture this: a table, a deadline, a person who loves urgency because urgency makes puppets. The old you speeds up. The reactive you tries to prove competence with volume. But speed is where mistakes live. Your new rule starts with this tiny rebellion. Slow everything down. Your breathing, your blank, your voice. You slide the document back, not away, back, and say, if it's urgent, it needs clarity. Then you take the 5. Not to stall, to see. Calm is not an emotion, it's a tactic. When you refuse to match someone's pace, you refuse their control. Your nervous system becomes a locked room. They can knock, they don't get in. Calm is terrifying to the chaotic because it shows them a mirror. They throw a spark, expecting you to catch fire. Instead, it lands on stone. They feel small, not because you attacked them, but because their favorite lever didn't move you. You don't need to flex, you need to sit. You don't need to convince, you need to hold. Master this, and rooms adjust to you before you speak. Drop this in the comments. My calmness is my power. Now the blade under the calm. Cold thinking. Cold is not cruel. Cold is clear. It separates data from drama. Someone misses a commitment and offers a sad story. Old you reads the story, cries inside, lower standards. Cold you reads the pattern. Patterns don't lie. Patterns tell you where respect stops and convenience begins. Cold doesn't punish, it prices. You don't argue, you adjust the cost of access. Fewer privileges, tighter scopes, written timelines. The mind that thinks cold never needs to raise its voice because its rules are gravity. People don't debate gravity for long. They comply or they fall. You will also learn an art that looks like nothing from the outside, but shifts the entire battlefield. Silence. Not the sulk, not the freeze. Strategize silence. Your urge will be to clarify. Don't. Clarification is a gift you give to the respectful. Bait deserves poverty. Let the question hang in the air like fog. Count to 4 in your head. They will speak again, and this time they will reveal more of themselves than you could ever extract with a speech. They will fill the silence with their insecurity, their angle, their fear. You'll get the blueprint by simply refusing to perform. Negotiations are where silence turns from pretty to lethal. You make your ask, then you shut up and breathe. The first to fill the space pays the tax. If they need you, they'll move. If they don't, you just learned something worth more than their praise. You learned where not to waste your life. Either way, silence protects your position. Drop this in the comments. My silence speaks power. Let's tell a quick story you know too well. You used to stay late in the chat. You replied within minutes. You kept your read receipts on like a window without curtains. Every time you were available, your value sank in quiet increments. Not because you were kind, but because you were constant. Presence without price becomes furniture, and no one worships a chair. One day, you change one rule. You answer on your time, in blocks, with intention. Not to punish, to recalibrate. You disappear for a weekend without announcement, then return with results. Your absence isn't a tantrum, it's a design. Distance breeds curiosity. Curiosity becomes respect. Respect turns into better terms. You start to see who misses you versus who misses your favors. You learn painfully and beautifully that you weren't being taken for granted by monsters. You trained good people to treat you cheaply by being too available. Scarcity heals that. Drop this in the comments. My absence amplifies my value. Here's the paradox. The more you step back, the more your presence weighs. You enter a room and people look up, not because you're loud, but because you weren't there for a while. You post less and say more with each post. You stop checking who watched your story and start writing a story worth watching. On your calendar, in your routine, without applause. The world notices, slowly. Harder to reach, easier to respect. All of this collapses without the shield most people avoid because it carries the sting of guilt. Boundaries. You can't have calm without edges. You can't have silence without gates. You can't have valuable absence if anyone can yank you back with a mood. Boundaries are not walls to hide behind. They are doors you control. And doors have locks. Take the most exhausted place in your life. It might be a person, it might be a platform, it might be a habit dressed like a friend. Write the rule as a sentence, not a feeling. Then enforce it once, quietly, completely. The first time you enforce a boundary, people will test it. Of course they will. You train them otherwise. Hold the line without theater. No lecture, no monologue, just the consequence. If they storm, let the weather pass without chasing it outside. Boundaries need boring to work. Drop this in the comments. My boundaries protect me. Expect the accusations. These aren't arguments, they're confessions. They're telling you who benefited most from your lack of rules. Smile. Don't debate your evolution with someone who profits from your weakness. You're not closing your heart, you're closing the loopholes that made love look like labor. You're not hard now, you're precise. I want you to understand something that will save you years and stop dozens of fake reconciliations before they start. The moment you explain a boundary to someone who has already violated it, you are auditioning. They're not confused, they're calculating. If your explanation is long, they put a price on your patience. If your silence is brief, they put a price on your access. The second one is expensive. Choose the second. There's also the self-boundary, the one no one claps for because no one sees it. This is the line you draw with your own impulses. You don't check your phone before you check your breath. You don't scroll when you said you'd build. You don't gossip because it feels like connection. You build the kind you can't screenshot. You forgive yourself quickly and correct yourself immediately. Not tomorrow, now. Self-respect grows when you keep a promise to yourself in private. Keep enough of those and your public presence starts to feel like a rumor of something solid, because it is. If you need a picture to hold on to, use this. A candle in a cathedral. It doesn't chase worshipers. It doesn't beg for breath. It gives light from exactly where it stands, with a border of flame that burns anything foolish enough to touch it wrong. People come to it. They quiet themselves without being asked. That's your aura when calm, silence, absence, and boundaries braid together. Not showy, sacred. Yes, you'll lose people who only loved your accessibility. You'll lose your addiction to instant replies and emergency empathy, and you will gain something rarer, compounding peace. Peace that doesn't evaporate when someone texts at midnight. Peace that doesn't require you to prove you deserve it. Peace that looks like clarity on your calendar and strength in your spine. And here's a twist the world won't tell you. This version of Ruthless makes you kinder, not colder. Why? Because when you stop bleeding energy into chaos, you have blood left for the people and the work that actually matter. Your yes becomes honest. Your no becomes clean. Your time becomes a promise instead of a problem. You become someone others can lean on because you finally learn to stand. Let's set your drills for the next 48 hours. 1. Practice a slow response 3 times when urgency is pushed at you. Inhale for 4, answer for 10. 2. Let one charged comment die in silence. Watch what spills out without your help. 3. Remove yourself from one noise source for a day. Mute, hide, or walk away. Return with results, not explanations. 4. Write a boundary in one sentence and enforce it once. The first rep will shake. You'll survive. You'll sleep better. And when the guilt whispers that you're being too much, remember, you used to be too little for yourself. Balancing the equation will feel like excess. It's not. It's the center. If this part woke something up, anchor it. Carve a line where your mind can't dodge it. Calm is my weapon. Silence is my strategy. Absence is my price. Boundaries are my armor. Drop one of those in the comments so the old version of you has to watch it stay. In the final part, we sealed the crown where it can't be stolen. We'll talk about selective loyalty, the discipline that makes you impossible to manipulate, and the quiet standard that turns you from reactive to untouchable. When you rule your mind, the world stops ruling you. You've learned to control the picture, detach the reaction, design for betrayal. You've learned to make calm your weapon, silence your language, absence your price, and boundaries your armor. Now we seal the crown where even chaos can't reach it. This isn't about becoming hard. It's about becoming sovereign, so composed that manipulation gets bored and walks away. The world will still try to break you. Let it try. You won't give it a lever. Start with loyalty, not the storybook kind, the strategic kind. Most people hand loyalty out like flyers and then cry when the wind takes them. You won't. Your loyalty will be a contract with your purpose, not a cage built by promises. When you give allegiance, you'll know why. When you withdraw it, you'll know why. No speeches, no guilt, just math. Ask, does this alliance multiply my discipline, sharpen my standard, and protect my peace? If yes, tighten the bond. If no, let it loosen quietly. The ruthless don't hate, they edit. Drop this in the comments. My loyalty is selective. Here's a simple test that will expose more than 1,000 conversations. Offer someone a boundary and a delay at the same time. I'm offline after 9. Watch how they behave between now and noon. The ones who respect the standard will respect the person who set it. The ones who push will tell you everything you need to know. You don't need their explanations. You need their pattern. Patterns are honest when words are not. Now, discipline, not the dramatic kind, the repetitive kind. People think grit happens in the big moments. It doesn't. It happens in the boring ones where nobody claps. Discipline is choosing the dull guardrail over the exciting cliff. It's writing the rule once and living it daily. Sleep before scrolling, breath before reply, craft before chatter, training before trend. Every time you obey a small rule, you raise an invisible wall around your mind. The world hammers on it. You hear the thud. It doesn't get in. If you need a ritual, steal this one and make it yours. Morning, write 3 lines. What you will build, what you will protect, what you will ignore. Noon, breathe for 60 seconds before your most emotional decision. No shame, just data. Tomorrow, fix one step. This is how rulers walk, one perfectly placed foot at a time. There's a room inside your head that used to be lawless. We're putting chairs in it now. On one sits fear. On one sits desire. On one sits pride. They can watch the meeting. They don't get to vote. When fear speaks, it whispers about catastrophes that never happened. Note it. When desire speaks, it begs for a shortcut. Note it. When pride speaks, it wants to answer an insult with a life sentence. Note it. Not what soothes you, not what claps for you, what serves. If a move doesn't serve, it dies on the table. That's ruthless. That's mercy for your future. You will also learn to erase your tells. Manipulators survive on tells. Your flinch, your rush, your over-explaining, your eyes darting to the door when you're uncomfortable. Practice stillness like a language class. When a question stings, breathe before blinking. When urgency is thrown at you, slow your reply. When someone asks for your plan, give the next step, never the whole map. The most dangerous people you'll ever meet never look dangerous. They look ordinary and move with precision. Become ordinary, then move with precision. I want to tell you a story. There was a season I thought I was hard to control because I could argue well. I thought words were shields. Then a mentor did nothing when I performed my finest speech. He just looked. He let silence sit at the table until my performance got embarrassed and left. It took a week for that sentence to land. Then it rewired me. Real control doesn't audition. It doesn't plead. It doesn't narrate. It makes choices and lets time do the talking. You'll fix what needs fixing without writing a thread about how you're fixing it. You'll leave rooms without slamming the door and show results without tagging the room. You'll forgive without sending a paragraph to prove you forgave. Quiet outcomes terrify insecure people. They want your noise because your noise makes them relevant. Your quiet makes them face themselves. What about your circle? Choose people who respect your edges and sharpen your inside. Here's a blunt filter. 3 chairs. Chair 1, the builder. They talk in verbs. Make, ship, learn, test. Chair 2, the mirror. They tell you the thing that makes you win faster, even if it stings. Chair 3, the harbor. They don't need you to perform in order to stay. If someone can't sit in any of those chairs, they can stand outside the door and wave from time to time. You're not cruel, you're curated. When your circle shifts, your ceiling moves. You will also upgrade your relationship with time. Time is the only currency that won't refund, and yet you hand it to clowns. That era is over. If something matters, give it a block. If it doesn't, give it a boundary. A day without a what for is a day you donate to strangers. You aren't a charity for chaos anymore. Expect the tests to get creative. The world will try new disguises. An opportunity that wants you urgent and unprepared. A friend who wants your attention without your standard. A mentor who wants loyalty to their comfort, not your growth. You don't need to expose them. You just need to enforce the rule. Everything gets priced. If it demands speed, the price goes up. If it ignores your boundary, the price goes up. If it multiplies your purpose, the price goes down, and your yes gets lighter. People will call this transactional. They're right. You're transacting your finite life for outcomes that outlive moods. Let's talk about the last chain, the need to be recognized. Recognition is sugar, sweet, addictive, empty. Respect is protein, boring, nourishing, slow. You'll crave sugar forever unless you feed on protein daily. This means you'll choose the uncelebrated tasks that make you formidable. Study before stance, reps before reels, depth before display. The most misunderstood truth and power is this. Confidence is not a feeling you chase. It's a record you build. Stack enough private wins and your presence gets heavy. You won't have to believe in yourself. You'll have evidence. Drop this in the comments. Discipline over desire. There is one more practice, and I won't dress it up. Controlled pain. You are too easily moved because you avoid discomfort like it's poison. It isn't. It's training. Schedule 3 frictions a week that make you tougher in the right direction. The difficult call you avoid, the extra hour of learning when your brain wants bed, the workout when you want a screen, the cold shower when your nerves want warm. Don't romanticize it. Do it. You are teaching your body a simple truth. We do hard things on purpose. The mind that has rehearsed discomfort stops negotiating with every storm. Now, the seal. Ruling your mind. This isn't mystical, it's managerial. Your thoughts are employees. Some are lazy, some are thieves, some are brilliant. Your job isn't to feel inspired by them, it's to assign them. You give it a broom, it can sweep the plan for holes. When fear walks in at noon, you send it to security. What are the real risks and what do we mitigate? When pride walks in at night, you sit it in reception to greet the compliments and log them without letting them upstairs. If a thought refuses work, you walk it to the door. The mind you don't manage will unionize against you. Manage it. You're closer than you think. Not because you're lucky, but because you're finally logical about power, perception, emotion, strategy, structure, presence, silence, scarcity, edges, loyalty, discipline. These are not moods, they're levers. When you pull them deliberately, life stops feeling like weather and starts feeling like engineering. You can't stop storms. You can build roofs. Here are your final drills for the next 7 days. 1. One quiet outcome per day. Fix, ship, or learn without announcement. Then log it for yourself. 2. One loyalty audit, where your energy goes and what it returns. Shift one allocation. 3. One friction rep, a controlled pain you choose. 4. One boundary enforcement. No lecture, just consequence. 5. One cold decision. Write the options, pick the one that serves the outcome, not the ego. 6. One pattern review. Note the behavior, not the excuse. 7. One chair meeting. Ask fear, desire, pride for input. Then let discipline make the call. You won't become untouchable in a day. You will become untouchable in decisions. Every time you choose the throne over the thrill, you move. Every time you choose the rule over the rush, you move. Every time you choose the outcome over the argument, you move. And then one day, you'll walk into a room and feel it click. You are no longer performing for the world. The world is performing for your standard. Not because you're loud, because you're law. If this series sharpens something in you, act like it. Hit like, share this with the one person who's ready to stop breaking, and subscribe. Because this isn't inspiration, it's training. Each new video will add a lever you can pull on command. And drop your final pledge in the comments so your old self has to watch it stand. I rule my mind. I am untouchable now.